The Big H Podcast, tune in now. Conversations that'll wow. Laugh and learn, stay a while. Let's explore that Hilton style. From the highs to the lows, every story just explodes. Mike's got questions on the go, diving deep from head to toe. Every week the guests align, sharing moments so divine. Stay with us, the pace is fine. Every episode you'll find. The Big H Podcast, tune in now. Conversations that'll wow. Laugh and learn, stay a while. Let's explore that Hilton style.
Welcome to the Big H Podcast, where we celebrate the people, stories, and traditions that make Hilton such a special place to call home. I'm your host, Mike Heise, and today we're sitting down with longtime Hilton resident Dave Almeter for a conversation about his life, his career, his family, and the experiences that have shaped him. We also talk about what makes Hilton more than just a hometown. It's a community built on relationships, pride, and people who care. So settle in and enjoy the conversation with Dave Almeter. We're titling this podcast, The Heart of Hilton, a conversation with Dave Almeter. Dave, thank you for joining me today.
Well, thank you.
Dave, let's start at the beginning. Tell us and our viewers a little bit about where you grew up, your family, extended family, and what was like as a kid.
Okay. I was the first of 11 children born in Hilton, or in our present at the address at our farm, 292 Parma Center Road. My dad had moved there in April of 1942 and bought a small farm, 90 some acres, and he had milk rights for a dairy farm and milked a few cows at that time. I had my older brother, Larry, was born 3 years earlier. Then there was Margaret, then Anne, and then myself. So we were all born 1 year apart. And then came my brother Jim, and then Teresa, Tom, Joe, Danny, and Mary. And there's one more that died at birth, and that was Bernadette. Growing up on the farm, all I can remember was they had to tie me up a few times because I would get into mischief because there was so much equipment, so much to get into. And my mom being busy with so many children, sometimes they just had to tie me up someplace or put me in a first it was a playpen. Okay. But anyway, my dad used to take me as I got older and I knew a little bit what was going on. He would take me on rides here and there whenever he had business to do with the farm. And to me, that was a great thing. I fell in love with trains and railroad. And I used to just look for railroad crossings and hoping that there would be a train that would come by. That was my big thing when I was 4, 5, 6, 7 years old. I remember my first time ever powering a tractor. My dad put me on pulling a hay wagon on a little Ford tractor. And I had to jump off the seat to push down the clutch and the brake if I had to every time we were loading hay bales on the wagon. And I had to steer it through the lot in first gear at a very low RPM. And that thrilled me so much that I was able to drive a tractor. That was big for me. I was only 6 years old then. And going on, we played so much with the neighbors across the street. We played kick the can, cops and robbers, cowboys and Indians. There was and the Coils were good friends across the street. There was Tom and Carolyn Coyle, and they were a little older than me, but we all gelled together. We played baseball quite a bit. That was our recreation activity more than anything. I remember when my mom and dad used to play croquet with us out in the front yard. And then when I was 9 years old, I was given my first job on the farm, and that was setting up the milk machines, putting all the milk machines together and getting them ready for the milking. My dad grew the farm from about 10 cows to about 50 at that time, added a whole lot to the farms, built some barns and silos. And from then on in, it was a lot of chores. And from that point to the time that I joined the Army after high school, farming, the chores on the farm were quite a few and strenuous, like pitching down the silage from the silos before we even had a silo unloader, wheelbarrowing all the silage in front of the cows, especially in the wintertime when they're locked in their stanchions. Grinding grain. We used to have a hammer mill, and we used to grind our own grain and mix distillers with it that my dad would order along with the Icus farms. They would order a whole boxcar load of distillers and mix it with their feed, which gave them a better butterfat milk count. We did a lot of playing in the hay mow. We baled our hay, but we would go up there and actually make tunnels in the hay by setting the bales on top of each other with a space, and actually make rooms with boards across and put the bales on top of that and make secret hiding passages. But, there was so much on that farm that you did that could have been dangerous. Like, I remember being inside of those things hiding, and it's pitch dark. I mean, it's really dark in there. And you get a little bit low on oxygen. You're breathing harder because there's no air in there. So you don't stay in there too long, you come out. But we had so much fun doing that. Had a lot of, I'm trying to think of other things that we did on the farm.
Well, as you're working your whole family, that's how you brought in your money and stuff, correct? With the dairy farm?
With a dairy farm, yes. My mom never drove. She was too nervous to drive. But she was a homemaker, and she really, I was probably closest to my mom, much more closer to my mom than I was my dad. My dad was more businesslike. A lot of his energies was toward running the farm and keeping it going and things like this. And he was the disciplinarian of the family, so if we didn't stay in line, well, we got spanked.
Sure.
Anyway, the other thing about my mom was she was a very moral person. She made us pray together as a family.
What was her name, by the way?
Her name was Verna, actually from Veronica. And my dad's name was Norman.
I'm sorry to interrupt. You said your mom
Sure.
was a very moral person.
Yeah,
She got
yeah.
you to pray
She
together and stuff.
always prayed together. She always taught us the right things, or how to, not to steal, not to cheat, and so forth. Because we played in the wintertime, especially, we played a lot of games of Monopoly together. Monopoly was a big game with us, plus cards.
Right.
We played a lot of euchre. We played rummy. We played, as little kids, you played uh, the simple games.
Mm-hmm.
Like Chicken Fight
Mm-hmm.
was the name of a card game. I remember. Um,
So, through many
Chris,
people, when they look back on their family and their family tree, tell me about what it meant to you to grow up with that many brothers and sisters. Like, how great was, or maybe even some
it
challenges.
it was pretty super. We were very competitive. Okay, so we were always seeing who could do something the best. It it was challenging, and I never really could do anything better than some of my other brothers or sisters. Um, One of the things we would do as kids, like my brother Larry, my brother Jim, whatnot, we would see if we could lift an anvil over our heads. This is about a 150-pound anvil. I mean, this is in our teenage years. I actually accomplished that, but I only did it once. I never did it again. But these are dangerous things that you did. The farm was not, I think, more than anything else, my mom's prayers and the Lord's grace. None of us ever got killed or wounded or whatnot during our stay there. All my brothers and sisters are still alive yet, except for the last one that died at birth.
That's incredible. So,
And
Larry's your oldest. So, how old would he be?
he's 87.
And
Margaret's 86. Anna's 85. I'm 84. Jim is 82. My sister Teresa, who also lives in Hilton, she's 80. It's going to be 81. And then
was there
the
Tom?
lower half of my family all moved down to Georgia. Okay, which is Tom, Joe, Danny, and Mary.
Do they live pretty close to with each other?
Yes, they live in a community down there,
Mm-hmm.
a very good community. Um, they all watch out for each other.
So, you were talking earlier about chores. Were chores differentiated between the boys of the household versus the girls of the
Yes,
household? Okay.
the girls helped mom out.
Mm-hmm.
There's no doubt about that. They helped with the wash. They helped with the meals, and they worked in the gardens and stuff like this. The gardens we had. Us boys, especially my brother Larry, and myself, we were on the. I was on the farm working for my dad right through high school, and we got next to nothing. We got next to peanuts. My dad always said, "You're getting your room and board." So anyway, I was anxious really to leave the farm after high school. I joined the Army. Okay.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Well, going through high school, I was a C student at best.
And that was
I
at
was
Hilton,
not.
right?
I was at Hilton High. Graduated in '61. Okay. I never I never liked homework. I was too busy on the farm, and anything I had spare time, I was out hunting woodchucks. We had a lot of woodchuck holes on the farm and on the near the creeks and the hillsides and stuff like this. And my dad had also a lot of rented land that he was using now So that was my thing. So I was a C student at best, but when I got in the Army, I found that I passed most of the tests that they had, and I had a higher IQ than I ever thought I had.
Mm-hmm.
And I was eligible to go to OCS, Officer Candidate School, but I didn't because of the fears of all that I had to go through, because it was such a stringent thing and we went to classes while I was in basic training. And so I kept the MOS, or that's the Military Occupational School, which was turret artillery repair. I worked on big guns and tanks, self-propelled artillery. And I enjoyed that a lot. We wound up going overseas during the Berlin crisis. And there was 3,000 troops on that ship going across. And I was so sick that I lost 30 pounds going across
Just
in
the
8 days.
seasickness? Okay.
I could not. I couldn't even keep Coke and crackers down. I had to go up on the deck and hang onto the railing and look out at the sea to prevent from being totally nauseated. I mean, just I couldn't go down and sleep unless I was exhausted. I'd go down. It was terrible time. But once I got over to Germany, that was a different story then. But I got to work on a lot of stuff. I didn't get transferred into something I didn't like. I actually enjoyed my time. Went to school for it in Aberdeen Proving Grounds, Maryland. Spent 3 years, and our company came back after being there 19 months. Our whole company came back, and we wound up in Fort Meade, Maryland. And then I went temporary duty down into Blackstone, Virginia, to Camp Pickett. And we got all the tanks and stuff ready for the reserves and things like that there. And then afterward, I came home. I should back up a little bit.
Sure.
My dad asked me to stay on the farm. And I said, Dad, I can't stay on the farm. I got to get out. I haven't seen anything but this farm all my life.
How did he accept that?
He accepted it. He offered me so much money, and it really was still peanuts. And so I when I joined the Army, when I got out of the Army, I took a job working as a for Caldwell and Cook, building framing houses. I did that for a year and a half. Found out from my brother-in-law that they were accepting apprentices from the outside at Rochester Products, at part of General Motors. And so I left Caldwell and Cook, took a job, and I passed. And I had a hydraulics background because of my time in the service. They wanted me to be a pipe fitter because they worked on hydraulics there. And that's what I wound up doing for the rest of my life, was pipe fitting. But my forte, or the thing that I excelled in there, was fluid power, hydraulics. And wound up, after so many years of becoming an engineer there, without going to college.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and so that was taxing on me at first, because there's a liability to redesigning something or whatever it is,
Why do you have? Why? Because you have to have that educational piece, and if
well, it was just that I didn't. One of the things that happened to me was one of my fellow engineers said to me, Dave, don't worry about these things that you're talking about. When a person goes to college to become an engineer, he goes to college and he's been tested and has proven that he can do something. He says, "You've already done that this here, being a pipe fitter and excelling and training other apprentices." He says, "You've already earned that right to become one." And I often thought about that, and that steered me staying there. And I'll tell you what, it was for the next 14 years, I did a lot of work redesigning and making things better than I used to.
Just a real quick question, and we'll keep going. Did you surprise yourself when I recall you said, "Well, in high school I was a C student at best," and as you progressed in your lifetime in your career, like look where you rose to was an engineer at your business.
I surprised myself in the fact that I began to learn a little bit about me, how I learn. And I learn by doing with my hands or with my eyes. I don't learn by reading books so much. I would, in my spare time, I would take a valve or a pump or something apart and find out why it failed. And to me, the thing that really helped me, was the fact that I began to.
Tell me a little bit about. You talked about how you learn by doing and with your hands and eyes.
Yeah. I learned by, and I actually trained apprentices by show and tell. I had to make up tests and things like this, but when I made drawings showing working parts in things and showing how things worked. Blueprint reading or schematic reading was another thing that I would take and sequence. Each print had its own sequence of what was going on, which valve was on, where the flow was going. These things really helped the apprentices learn. It was just a different way of doing it, but yet it excelled. After that, they wanted me to stay in engineering, and so I did.
Just going back, how many years did you serve in the Army?
3 years.
3 years. And recently, did I see a picture of you from the fireman's parade? Did you march in that?
No, I didn't march in the fireman's parade because I can't. My feet are not good for marching.
Going back, I think it's interesting that you have several of your brothers, and first of all, it's amazing they're all still alive. Unfortunately, you lost the one during childbirth. Right. All the people that live, let's say we'll cross the ones that live up north, are they all doing well? And maybe describe a little bit about the work that they went into after the farm.
My brother Larry wanted to be a state trooper, but he failed the test for your eyes for being able to see wide, narrowed vision. So he got into carpentry work, and that's what he did for the rest of his life. He was a carpenter and never had to advertise because he always did good work well, and the people, just by word of mouth, was able to raise a whole family of 5 children and so forth. And still alive today with his wife, Barbara. Margaret married Johnny Adams, who was also a Hiltonite. His father was Fred Adams. He owned what do you call it, a parlor. I can't even think of it.
Barbershop or something like that?
No, for dead people.
More like a Tom Burger place?
Yeah, Tom. Yes,
Yeah.
right.
Mortician.
On West Avenue. Anne, she married. Anne worked for an outfit in the city. She was a secretary. Um, she married somebody that was an engineer, Noel Rayner, and they raised 4 children. Actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 children. And he's the one brother-in-law that passed away, and she now lives down in Georgia with the younger part of our family.
Okay.
Then myself, and then Jim is the monk in the monastery, and he actually is in the Hall of Fame in Hilton, on the wall, I guess. And and then he was in the Air Force. Got out of the Air Force, decided he wanted to serve the Lord, and so he became a monk. So he's been there ever since.
Back to the way your mother.
Every year he has 3 days off, and he puts them together, and we have a family reunion, which is real nice.
Can I ask you where that is and how large it's grown to?
You want to know how big our family is? For my mom and dad, they had 11 children, 42 grandchildren, 142 great-grandchildren, and it's still growing. And I think there's 20 some great-great-grandchildren now from my mom.
I'm impressed that you can keep track of all those numbers.
I keep the stats for our family.
Okay. Do you is it at the same period every year, and is that when your brother can come, you said?
Yeah, usually, matter of fact, we're going to see him this coming week.
Okay.
Yeah, he'll have 3 days in a row. And all our cousins, I mean, I have 66 first cousins.
Oh.
So we have a good time. Of course, they don't all show up. Maybe 10 of them will show up, 12, but we have a great time doing that. And that's at Buffard in Geneseo, across the river from Geneseo.
Is that where the monastery is?
Yes.
Okay. Now,
Trappist monastery there.
Going down to the crew that moved to Georgia, tell me a little bit about what they're up to, if they married, and what they did.
Yes. Okay. Tom. Okay. First of all, we miss Teresa. Teresa's married to Chuck Mance. Chuck has been a carpenter all of his life.
We had Chuck Mance on the podcast.
Oh, you did?
Sure did.
Okay.
He was a great athlete, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. Yeah. He's also in the Hall of Fame.
Yes, he is. Heard he could dunk the basketball back then too.
Yeah.
Way to go, Chuck.
Chuck is a great guy.
Yeah.
You can't find a nicer guy, Chuck. He's great. And Teresa's a registered nurse. She went to school with my wife. We're both graduated together. Okay, then there's Tom.
What did your wife do for a living? Is she homemaker or what is she?
Well, she was homemaker, but I worked at one shift and she worked another shift. And so we raised the family together that way. We never had to have babysitters, so to speak.
You know, and I don't even think I asked what your wife's name is. And
Cheryl.
Okay. Where'd you guys meet?
Blind date.
Blind date?
My sister Teresa said, after the Army, they need to fix you up with, there's this one girl, she just broke up with her boyfriend. She'd probably like to go on this blind date. Well, the blind date was going to a round and square dance up in Spencerport at the church up there, St. John's Church, okay, in a big gymnasium. So we went together and we went down and picked her up, and that's the first time I ever met her, but we've been together ever since.
Which is so, how many years?
3 years later, we were married.
Okay.
Okay, so I have now been married 59 years. We'll be 59 years in September.
Is there a secret to it?
Yes. Respect one another.
Mm-hmm.
More than anything, if you don't respect, how can you love if you don't respect?
Wow.
And if you don't have respect for one another, then we've had our ups and downs too. Everybody does. But if you realize that marriage is forever, people don't realize that today. They think, well, if it don't work out, I'll get a divorce. I don't believe that. I don't believe that a bit, and my wife never did either. We would figure it out and move on, and I've grown closer to her now than I ever been. We're very close. Yeah.
Before I get more into your children, go back to your brothers and sisters. I think we were talking about Teresa, the last one that's married to Chuck, and then
okay, Tom. Tom studied to be a priest, but after his 6th year, he decided it wasn't for him. He married a girl by the name of Josie, and later, at first he did carpenter work like my brother Larry did, and he wound up doing that down in Georgia. When he moved down there, he became his own employer. He was a contractor, did a lot of remodeling, did a lot of house building and whatnot in Georgia, down in Augusta, Georgia.
Okay.
Joe ran the farm for a while with my brother-in-law, Johnny. And then they were doing that for 4 years. They were partners, and Joe decided he didn't want to do that anymore. And so he sold his part to Johnny and went down, and he married a Vietnamese girl. He had to bring her over, and she had to be married to him in 90 days or she had to go back. And this is right after the Vietnam War.
Was he in the service of Vietnam?
Yes,
Okay.
he was in the service in Vietnam. That's where he met her. And that's a real story in itself. I mean, that would take that's worth writing a book about.
Mm-hmm.
Later, he got into, he was an electrician. He studied to be an electrician, became an electrician, and did a lot of house wiring down in Georgia. He also did other things, but that was his main thing. And he had 6 children and raised them. And one of them is a priest, is the pastor of a big church in Augusta. So the ones, well, all the children are very successful.
Mm-hmm.
They were. Joe was. He's got a memory like an elephant.
Mm-hmm.
You should say. He knows everybody's birthday. He knows everybody's anniversary in the family, and his cousins, and his aunts and uncles when they were alive, and whatnot too. Just an amazing person. And Elgon was an amazing woman too. It was spelled Ngocanh, and it means rose.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she came over, learned English real well, and fit right in with everything. So that was good. And Danny became. He also studied to be a priest, and after about 7 years, he decided, no, I'm not going to do this. He met a gal down there, Southern Belle, and her name was Marie, and they had 6 children. So you can see where all the children are having a lot of children. But Dan was, he worked for the state, placing foster kids and things like this for the state of Georgia. He is also a leader, one of 3 leaders in the community of about 800 families called Alleluia Community down there. And so he's done an awful lot with the Roman Catholic Church, doing a lot of, what do you call it, when you give a, boy.
Communion, witness,
No, when he gives
Bible study.
Uh,
It's okay.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, it'll come to you. But
Sometimes
he's
I
a
think
big,
it's, yeah,
he's a big person.
yeah,
One of 3 of 100,
Wow.
800
right,
working with the Catholic Church
Right.
down in that community.
right. And then there's Mary. Mary was turned out to be a heart specialist at University of Augusta. She worked with a lot of doctors down there, learning, helping them read what the all the what do you call it when you do heart things?
The was it the heart film, the radiology?
yeah, the radiology and
Mhm.
stuff like this. And she had 4 children, and one of her kids is a Jesuit priest.
Seeing a common thread here,
this kept
Dave.
thread. Yeah. And her husband was an engineer who worked for Georgia Iron Works, which made huge pumps, slurry pumps and things like this, big cast iron pumps. And that's it for the family, immediate family.
Well,
anyway.
it's your immediate family. I'm going to move on to your family. Very, very impressive. You see the common thread of religion that goes down through, and I don't mean to put you on the spot. Did you have a favorite brother or sister when you were growing up?
I did.
Who would that have been?
Probably my sister Teresa.
Uh-huh.
We, even though she was, 3.5 years younger,
Correct.
we just gelled together. We thought the same things and whatnot. We would get together and just talk about things more so than I did with my other brothers and sisters. And that was Chuck Mance's wife, of course. Yeah. So she would be the favorite one. Yeah.
And she's still up here.
Yeah, she is.
Do you get together? I know, of course, the Almeter reunion. Do you guys ever get together? Hey, we'll get together.
Oh yeah, we date some. Or no, we still go out and do things together. She cuts my hair. Okay.
Gotta have that keep going.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's get to you and Cheryl and your children. Tell me a little bit about your family
Okay.
with Cheryl.
Well, of course, Cheryl graduated from St. Mary's Hospital, was a registered nurse there. She worked nights or evenings, and I worked days. So I took care of the family at night. She took care of the family at daytime.
Mm-hmm.
It worked out pretty good. I mean, we still had a lot of time together because of a lag of about 3 or 4 hours between when one came home and the next one went to work. My oldest one, which is Yvonne, we call her Vani, she wound up becoming a registered nurse, just like her mom. She married a police officer. His name was John. And they're raising a family, and they just raised their family. And now the grandkid, my grandchildren from her are are up there in their 20s already. So, and they live in Brockport. My next one is Mark. He married somebody from Lockport named Joanne. Mark went to college, and first he worked at Kodak after 2 years of college down to Alfred. Then he decided he didn't want to do that the rest of his life because he wasn't going anywhere. So he saved up his money and he went back to RIT for another 2 years, got his bachelor's in information systems management. And from there on in, he worked for mainly health companies. United Healthcare was the one he wound up working for and retired from there. And he's retired now. And he was pretty high up on the scale. I know he was in sort of I know they have several vice presidents, but he was one of them in charge of, and he really got into AI. So it's interesting. And then Rick is our Energizer bunny. Okay. The reason I say that is Rick had a brain hemorrhage when he was 7 years old and left his right side weak. And he was in and out of hospitals and lost time even in school and stuff, but he made it all up. Rick was a guy that you couldn't stop him. I named my kids by what I thought they were. Like Vanny, I called Sunshine because she was very much a sanguine person, a person who was very bubbly. Okay. Mark, I called Justice because he was always complaining about something that wasn't right. And Ricky, I called Joy because everything he did was with gusto. If he got a new toy, he would play with that until it broke. I mean, that's the way he was. I used to love watching him for that reason. And then he had a brain hemorrhage. And
what was that like?
They told us when he was 7 years old, it happened. I was on my 5 o'clock in the morning. I woke up and I could hear something going on in the room, like noises. And he was in a bunk bed with my other brother in the bedroom. And he was setting up, and I tried to wake him up. I said, Rick, I says, what's going on here? Rick, And he looked at me, but he looked like he was looking through me, not at me, And I took him right out of there right away. And by that time, my wife woke up and we put him in our bed. And we trying to figure out what was going on. We thought we better call the ambulance or something. But then I saw a vein in his neck, and it was just popping in and out like crazy. His heart was jumping all over. And so we called the ambulance and got him down to Rochester General. Rochester General, they took CAT scans of his head. He had hemorrhaged, and they didn't know exactly what it was, but they said he has about a 10 to 20% chance of making it, so getting things together. And so they didn't have the facilities there, so they sent him by ambulance to Strong from there. They got into Strong, and they had a brand new pediatric intensive care unit. And they put him in there, and they put a shunt in his head to drain the pressure from the bleed off his brain. And he was in a coma for a week. My wife actually stayed there 24/7 in a room. They gave her a room down there to stay there during that time. In the meantime, I'm off trying to farm my kids out to people, friends and stuff. And I got to tell you this because it's very important. I was showering the second night, and I was just talking to God in the shower. And I said, Lord, I know you gave us our children. But I said, now I don't know what to do. I love him so, but I know he doesn't have much of a chance. So I guess I give you permission to take him, like I'm giving God permission,
Mm-hmm.
But that's the way I was feeling. And right after that happened, after I said that to him, I was filled with joy inside, and I didn't know where it came from. I was literally laughing, and I knew right then and there that he gave him back to me. And for sure, and it wasn't until a week or so later that he finally came out of his coma. He was induced with his coma too to keep him quiet, during that time. But he came out of that coma, and from then on in, of course, he had that right side weakness from it. But no matter what, he always, Ricky, this when he was 17, he had to go in and have that. Let me back up.
Mm-hmm.
We had to take him to Canada for an operation to clip off this malformation. It was called an arterial venous malformation. And we had to go to London, Ontario. We was there for 2 weeks. We stayed there. He had a 13-hour operation where they actually took the top of his head right off, the cap, like you would a pumpkin shell, and went down in and clipped silver clips in, tying off where the hemorrhage would start again or bleed. There were several silver clips in his head, and it was not a good time, but yet it was a time when Cheryl and I really drew close together. But then he was on a lot of medicine to keep that for years. Then when he was 17, they put a crown on his head and anchored it to his skull, and they cauterized it. And when that happened, 1 year later, right to the day that they did that, he lost his right side vision. So he can only see, when he was 18, he can only see straight ahead and to the left. So the rest of high school, he had to go books on tape because he had to go like this, and then he had to learn how to drive again because he had already gotten his license.
Mm-hmm.
And so forth. So, but he never quit. He just every time, and then he went through school at first at Monroe Community College, and then he went to RIT, and he got into marketing, and he got a job with later with what's the guy's name? Where they make all the paychecks. Sorry.
Tom Golisano, right?
Tom Golisano, Paychecks, and he's been there ever since, and he's been there 20-some years.
Did he marry?
No, he never married. He had some girlfriends, but when you have a right side weakness, whether it's the girl just doesn't want to take that chance of marrying, but he accepted that. And it was, I know it was hard for him, but he accepted that. He actually bought a house and lives in a nice ranch up in Paddy Hill down here in Greece.
Oh, very good. Now, going from that moment in the shower where you felt joy afterwards to then the 17-year-old that he needs the operation.
Yeah.
How was your faith through that part?
Oh.
Wavered?
No, my faith never wavered there. I knew the guy was in control.
Mm-hmm.
God's in control, and that's the one thing that I wish so many people would understand and believe. there wouldn't be so much ulcers, or I really believe that people don't trust. Their health goes downhill. I really believe that.
Do you believe that your family's longevity is proof of that, faith in
I
God?
believe so. I believe so.
Me too.
Yeah. Good. Yeah.
Because it's so amazing, like so many of your brothers were, this close to becoming a priest and all that. I'm sorry I interrupted you talking about your own family. After Rick, were there any more children?
No.
Okay.
No, just the three children.
So you had the three kids?
Yvonne, or not Yvonne, but Mark and Joanne weren't able to have children.
Okay.
And they both were professionals. She was a teacher, so forth.
Oh, very good. Now you graduated from Hilton High School. You've lived in Hilton your whole life. Try to reflect back on how much has Hilton changed from then until now. It's a big question.
Wow. When I was young, I didn't see a whole lot of Hilton. But I know that the whole community grew. I mean, from maybe 3,000 or 4,000 to 12 or 13,000 now, whatever it is. I guess I grew on Hilton after I joined the Parma Hilton Historical Society. This is back in 2012. I was invited to I guess it was their banquet in May at the end of the fiscal year, and I liked it. And they had a speaker there talking about a particular ship that they were looking for in Lake Ontario, the HMS Ontario, I guess, so a 22-gun ship, and how they found it and everything. So it was very interesting to me. From then on in, I think another year or two, they asked me to be on the board. So I was on the board for quite a while, and then after that, they needed a treasurer, so I became the treasurer. But during all this time, there were good people on this board. I mean, I think of Dave Crum, excellent person. I think of John Foster, who was our president for many, many years. Nancy Kuhn, who really helped me with the treasury stuff when I first started. And then there was Ed Gable, and just so many people. Like even my brother-in-law Johnny Adams was on it for a while, and so forth. And I go around the table. I mean, the board has changed a lot since, but they're all good people doing good things, and fun to be with, and good to get to know. And from that, I've learned a lot about our community, and that wasn't until much after. We moved back. I moved back to Hilton. I lived in the city for a while when I first got married, and then we built a house on Parma Center Road, and so we've been there ever since. But I never was really active because I was very busy with a job and raising a family and so many things, and my wife was too.
Isn't it true that you and Dave Crum did write a book about Hilton's timeline?
Yes, that was 2019. I said, Dave, I saw something in Spencerport that I really think we should have. It was showing a timeline of what happened in Spencerport. It was written on a wall, all these things that happened. I says, boy, I don't see anything here like that. Why don't we make a timeline? I wasn't thinking of a book. I was just thinking of charts, showing a timeline. And we got to doing it. I said, Dave says, I think we need to do a book, and especially for our 50th anniversary in 2019 of the Parma Hilton Historical Society. So I had a computer. I began to take all kinds of photos for pictures. And Dave gave me all the information I needed. I put it all in a Microsoft Word file. And we went several times back and forth with all this information to a place in Lima. And a publisher there was setting it up for us. And we found some pictures we thought were good for the front and rear cover. And we put this thing together and we introduced it in at our banquet in 2019. And it's a real good book as far as you want to know what happened when. It's got a lot of dates.
Any particular event jump out at you when you were putting that photo book together?
Yeah, there was one when in 1914, a lot of stuff was going on in Hilton that the pastors of the churches didn't like. They decided they wanted to get together maybe and introduce an evangelist to come to Hilton. Well, they did, and this evangelist, what he asked for was a tabernacle. And so Hilton built a tabernacle on West Avenue in 3 days. It seated 1,000 people. And that's all in the timeline book.
No kidding.
And during that time, he and his wife, many people came back to God again during that time of that. And people from all over, he took trains in from as far as Lyndonville and Rochester and whatnot. They came in to hear this Reverend Crable was his name.
No,
And I thought,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
So there was, I thought that was one of the neatest things that I'd seen happen in Hilton, other than the railroad coming through, which was in 1876, which changed Hilton into a very, very. Hilton was only as big as Parma Center at that time. When that railroad went through, it grew quick. And of course,
well, you said that you had a big interest in trains and railroads. Tell me a little bit about that interest.
Oh, well, I can remember going with my dad in the truck, and we would go down maybe to Hilton. I remember one thing in particular. They bought a whole carload of distillers, and that was with the Icases too. John Icas, who was on Hill Road, and George Icas, who was on Parma Center Road, west of us. Okay, and all three of us we had big dairy farms, and so we could buy a carload of distillers, which came from where they made whiskey and beer and stuff like this. Okay, that was the stuff left over, and the mash, they call it, I guess. Well, when I was only about 5 years old, they had a little switch engine down there. It was moving cars around because, you had the Apple, all the Apple, the factories and stuff that were making applesauce and vinegar and so forth. In Hilton. And my dad stopped the engineer, said, "Can you put this little boy on here for me?" He put me on that engine, and he rode up and down the tracks doing things. I was scared to death. But at the same time, I was missed. It just, wow. It was a thrill, but it was scary too. And I was glad to get off of it, but ever since then, I thought, wow, I love these railroads.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's where I got my start.
Now, it's interesting you said that there was kind of a revival bringing people back to God. And that was 1914-ish they built the tabernacle?
Yes.
So that would have been the time of the First World War, right?
Yes, it would be.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I bet people really needed that faith
How
in
it
their
was
lives.
connected. Well, we didn't get into the war until 1917.
Right.
But, yeah, First World War going on.
When you reflect on your career and your life, what accomplishment are you most proud of? Not necessarily professionally, but personally.
Wow. It would take some thought. I guess accomplishment, I guess more than anything, finding out who I really am. In other words, being very comfortable with yourself. Personally, that would be the most personal accomplishment, and that came from much reading, much probably much spiritual reading.
Mm-hmm.
I did a lot of I taught a lot of Sunday school in the church that I was in, and so forth.
Did it ebb and flow at different ages of your life, different periods of your life?
Sure, there was different times. My wife and I, when things were a little bit rough on the rough side, we went to a marriage encounter together. What's it called, a marriage encounter?
Yeah, I was very aware. My parents did the same.
Okay, so anyway, that was kind of big with us for a while, and so forth. We learned how to dialogue,
Mm-hmm.
to communicate in a much better way rather than accusations. You use the feelings that you're having. Okay, but more than anything else, understanding that God made us, every person, in a particular way, and it's up to us to find out from Him what He wants us to do, what He designed us for, and whatnot, which really brings out the fact that no matter what it is, whether you're a garbage collector or whether you're a famous person, that's what you are because of God, not because of what you accomplished and what you did,
Mm-hmm.
but because of the way He designed you and helped you get there.
Wow.
To me, that is the most important thing, I think, as far as an accomplishment of just being very comfortable with yourself because of who He is. And I guess I'm preaching, but
No,
that's me. That's who I am.
great answer. Well, because the truth. Okay, I'm going to give you a sentence starter. I'm going to ask you to finish it.
Sure.
Hilton is special because.
Hilton is special because it's got a lot of special people in it.
There you go.
The people I've met and whatnot, they're all special to me. It's special because it is like they say it is. It's a small community with a big heart.
Yep.
And I haven't met people that are otherwise. Everybody I seem that I meet or get in contact or have to contact with, they're good people. They just,
Okay, I got some. These are called rapid fire questions, and it's kind of
Okay.
like this or the other. First question: what's your favorite restaurant in Hilton?
that would be the Hilton Family Restaurant.
Thumbs up for me on that
They're
one.
very friendly. The waitresses there or the waiters are always right there. I mean, we go there every Wednesday after our Bible study in the morning. And they know what to get me. I always want water without ice, and it's right there for me when we walk in the door. They know right where we want to sit, and it's an amazing. And the food is good, and it's reasonable.
Nice. Your favorite place to relax in town?
In town, I'm glad you said in town because that takes in the town of Parma. You know what? Other than my house and my back deck, I like going Wednesday nights to go up to see Dave Crum in his office, where we just sit down and a bunch of people come in and we just reminisce about things that happened in Hilton.
Love that.
It's a great time together to get, and a lot of people show up,
Who are some of those people?
Frank Hubble, Bob Mullen, Larry Gersland shows up quite a bit when he's in town. Okay. Even our former mayor, Joe Lee, shows up now and then.
Tom Berger, ever you come?
Tom Berger comes, and I'll tell you, when he comes, we get to laughing so hard at things that happen to him. Paul Wadsworth used to be our Historical Society president at one time, I believe.
Nice.
There is a lot of people, and of course, Randy. What's Randy's last name?
Livermore.
Yeah, Randy Livermore is there quite a bit. Of course, Amanda Dudley comes up and so forth.
Good. Okay. Going back to the
I
restaurant.
hope I haven't missed somebody I should be.
That's okay. It's
saying.
hard when I put people on the spot, so
Yeah.
you don't worry. Your coffee or tea?
I'm a coffee person.
Okay. You got any creamer in it? Any salt or
A
sugar?
little bit of creamer.
All
That's
right.
it.
How many cups
Got
a
to put a
day?
little moo in the coffee. No more than 2. I have to because of my health. That's all.
All right. Bills, Sabres, or Yankees? Or none of the above?
None of the above.
Okay. Do you have any sports teams that you might have interest?
I've never been into sports, but I mean, I remember years ago, I was a Dallas Cowboy fan.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah, how about them Cowboys?
All right. Your favorite season in Hilton?
Would be the fall or the autumn.
Because
Well,
apples?
no. Well, yeah, just apples would be one of them. A lot of produce going on. It's Thanksgiving time of the year, but I do a lot of hunting with other people from Hilton too.
You still a good shot?
Yeah, I still do a lot of target shooting. I'm a avid hunter and shooter.
No.
I don't hunt now anymore because my feet won't let me. But I do a lot of target shooting and
Nice.
with people, and I've been on target teams, a few times already. I was in the Army. I was on a pistol team, and we took the Silver Cup home the last month I was in the Army.
Silver Cup, was that the best shooters? Even though it's a silver?
We went to Fort Lee, Virginia from Camp Pickett, and there was 19 teams, and there's 4 on a team. Well, we had 4 on a team. We practiced every night at this range when I was at Camp Pickett, and got pretty good. I mean, I had a good instructor there, and he was part of the shooting team too. So he asked me to be on the team with him. We went to 3 different shoots. Twice we came in pretty close. The last time we took the cup home, I was so proud of that. I got a picture of that at my house. Yeah.
Nice. Your favorite local event?
Favorite local event? Wow, probably going to the Hilton Carnival.
Love it.
That's and going to the parade.
Now, when you go to the carnival, do you have a favorite food
Oh
booth you
yeah,
like to hit?
yeah. We go there because of the Italian sausage that's served there, right next to the popcorn stand on the other side,
Right.
which is where Jerry and
Todd?
Todd are. Yeah, and they really load that up with onions and peppers, and that sausage is good. We go there every year for that reason, and we meet people down there. We love talking with people, and we watch the parade, so forth. But
Do you go just on parade night, or do you go the other nights too?
no, usually on parade night we go.
Okay.
Yeah, we probably could go on other nights, but we're kind of busy. We can't
Sure.
be down there every night or whatnot. But
All right. Your favorite vacation spot?
well, I have to say, especially years ago, and especially with the children, going to Myrtle Beach.
Nice.
We always would get a hotel for a week. We save what money we could up, and then we go there. And that was before we owned the cottage on the lake too. So
When did you start owning the cottage on the lake?
after Medicare and Medicaid told us we could have it, after my mother-in-law, who passed away, but so much of her own money was funded for about 5 years in a nursing home. So Medicare said, you can have it now. So when we did, right at the time that my father-in-law passed away, left us enough money to give it an extreme makeover. And we did. We totally did this whole cottage over. And it's a beautiful place in Pulteneyville on the lake, 22 feet off the water on a little point, and it's just perfect. We love being down there. Whenever we get a chance, we're going down Thursday again. We were there this past weekend.
That's great.
Yeah, beautiful spot.
All right. One word that describes Hilton.
Uh, amazing. It's an amazing town. It really is.
It really is hard to pick just one word, right?
It's one word is, I could say friendly. I could say a lot of things, but to me, it's an amazing little town. It survives so many little things happening. So many businesses were in and out and whatnot, but yet they come back, So,
What's one piece of advice for young people growing up in Hilton?
well, sometimes all I have to say is be true to yourself. Don't try to be somebody you're not. Just be true to yourself.
Profound. What's one thing people might be surprised to learn about you?
Wow. There's a lot of things I haven't said. I was once a New York State hunter safety instructor.
Oh, there you go. That's one. Keep going if you want. Anything you want to bring. Now, what did that entail? Obviously,
Putting
teaching.
classes, advertising your class. I did it here for the town hall 2 years in a row. I did it for the United, for the UAW, United
Auto workers.
Down on Dewey Avenue. I did it for 8 years. I learned how to be an instructor from Brockport with two other classmates of mine. And here's another thing. Back in the 79, 80, we built a big 2-story log cabin together with 3 of my classmates from high school. We bought all the land together. And down in the town of It's right between four towns.
Mm-hmm.
Belfast, Belmont, Friendship, and Amity. And we're almost right on the corner where those four towns are.
Is it
We had
still, it's still
45
up?
acres. Oh, yeah, it's still there. We no longer own it. Jim Ingham had it the last, and he was
It was
the town administrator for about 20 some years. Jim was a great guy to know. We had a lot of fun shooting together, hunting together. We hunted a lot on the camp,
Mhm.
the camp down there. Yeah.
Okay. One person from history you'd like to have dinner with.
From history, I would have to say Benjamin Franklin.
Okay. Any particular reason or what?
Well, his knowledge of things like electricity, his knowledge of printing press and stuff like this, the knowledge that he had of machines, stuff like this. Not so much his politicalness, but because of that. Yeah.
Okay, it's my closing question. I like to end every community interview with something that goes like this. Dave, years from now, when people remember your time in Hilton, what do you hope they'll say about you? But it's interesting because you said earlier, don't really find your way and don't really care what people think of you. You're kind of like,
Yeah.
What do you think they're going to say about Dave Almeter?
Boy. I guess, what would they say about me?
I mean, going from your family farm to your work with Rochester Products to the family.
Well, one of the things I always do is I try to fix things for people. I do a lot of small engine repair work, like with gas trimmers and chainsaws and leaf blowers and things like this. And also, I've done an awful lot of gun repair work. So I guess more than anything is say, Dave was always there to help me get something going again.
Mm-hmm. Everybody needs a community resident member like that. All right. Well, Dave, thank you so much for joining me today and sharing your history. I've learned a ton about you and your family and extended family. Conversations like this remind us that a community isn't defined by buildings or streets. It's defined by people who live here, raise their families here, volunteer here, and make Hilton the special place it is. To everyone watching or listening, thank you for spending part of your day with us. If you enjoyed today's conversation, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe, follow, and share the Big H podcast with your friends and neighbors. Every share helps us continue telling us stories of the people who make our community so unique. You can find the Big H podcast on YouTube, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Rumble. So wherever you enjoy your podcasts, we're there for you. Until next time, I'm Mike Heiss. Thanks for listening. Thanks for supporting local stories. And remember, every community has a story worth telling. Here in Hilton, we're proud to tell ours. We'll see you on our next episode of the Big H Podcast.
The Big H Podcast, tune in now. Conversations that'll wow. Laugh and learn, stay a while. Let's explore that Hilton style. From the highs to the lows, every story just explodes. Mike's got questions on the go, diving deep from head to toe. Every week the guests align, sharing moments so divine. Stay with us, the pace is fine. Every episode you'll find. The Big H Podcast, tune in now. Conversations that'll wow. Laugh and learn, stay a while. Let's explore that Hilton style.